Hello, I'm Alan Richmond. Welcome to Team Monterey Television, a program that showcases the positive social, economic, historical, educational, and technological impacts of Department of Defense installations on Monterey County, the state of California, and our nation. Currently, Team Monterey is an association of 9 DoD installations: the Naval Postgraduate School, the Defense Language Institute and Foreign Language Center, the Defense Department Manpower Data Center, Camp Roberts, Fort Hunter Liggett, the Naval Research Lab, Fleet Numerical, PERSEREC, and the United States Coast Guard Monterey. Since the concept of Team Monterey originated with Congressman Sam Farr, we'd like to start today's program with a portion of an interview the Congressman had with DLI Commandant Colonel Daniel Pick, discussing Team Monterey members, how they work together, and how their collective economic impact affects Monterey County.
We're all doing our missions individually and running pretty hard. But what this Team Monterey concept has done, from my perspective as the Commandant of DLI, it's sort of brought us together on a regular basis so that we can explore areas of synergy and collaboration that make us stronger than the constituent parts.
Because it's not just DLI, that's probably one of the best known. Naval Postgraduate School is pretty well known too. And then we have a thing called the Manpower Development Center, which keeps all the data. It's personnel. It's a personnel office, essentially. Right. But between the three of you, that data center, which is at the old Fort Ord Hospital, the Naval Postgraduate School, and the DLI, your budgets are over $1 billion.
One example of our collaboration, I mentioned the Joint FAO program with Naval Postgraduate School. Another one is the academic network that we're developing with the Naval Postgraduate School. NPS has a world-class information technology capability. DLI has been on a military network, which makes it more challenging to do our academic mission. In collaboration with NPS, we are migrating to an academic network and also weaving into the California Higher Education Research Network, CalREN, so that our mission will be deliverable to K through 12 schools, to institutions of higher learning, without any unnecessary firewalls that are associated with the military network. That would not have been possible had we not collaborated with the Naval Postgraduate School and with, frankly, with the local community, which had developed a robust fiber backbone that we can take advantage of.
And if you add up all the other 7 or 8 other entities that deal with the Defense Department in Monterey County, it's about $1.4 billion of annual expenditure in Monterey County. And I mean, what you're tied into, and you know it well because I'm going to ask you how effective it is, but we tied together Naval Postgraduate School, Defense Language Institute, the Fleet Numerical, the Navy Lab, Manpower Development Center, PERSEREC, the security surveillance think tank, Fort Hunter Liggett, Camp Roberts, ComStat, Garrison Command at Fort Ord, and I think we threw in the Coast Guard, and that's where we end up with $1.4 billion in federal expenditures in Monterey.
While Congressman Farr is a staunch advocate for and friend of local DoD presence, Monterey has another hometown hero in that department. Here's a short clip of Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey shortly after his appointment to that office.
He was born on June 28, 1938, here in Monterey, where his Italian immigrant parents operated a restaurant. Later, they purchased a farm in Carmel Valley, where both he and Sylvia now make their home. The Panettas have 3 grown sons. 2 are lawyers, 1's a doctor, and they have 6 grandchildren. Please give a big, warm NPS welcome to our friend, our neighbor, our Secretary of Defense, Leon Panetta.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sam. Sam Farr has been a dear friend and someone that I've worked with a long time. in a number of positions. Sam was first on the Board of Supervisors and served in the Assembly, and obviously now serves in the Congress. And he has been someone who has been incredibly important to this area in protecting the military establishments that are here. And I thank him for the support that he has provided the military and his continuing support for the mission of the Navy Postgraduate School, the Defense Language Institute, and the other installations here on the peninsula. This is a special place for me, and in many ways it's coming home. I am very proud of the Navy Postgraduate School, proud of its mission, and proud of its dedication to protecting this country. As I said, this is a special place. First of all, because this is my home. Monterey is where I was born and raised. And I've had, throughout my life, a deep appreciation for the history of this wonderful location here, but more importantly, a deep appreciation for the mission of the postgraduate school. I also, in representing this area as congressman, was very supportive of the school, its mission, and the work that is so important to keeping this country on the cutting edge of the future. In addition, not only as congressman, but as OMB director and then chief of staff to the president, worked very hard when threats came to the school through the BRAC process, not just once, but a number of times. And had the support of the local community, Mayor De La Sala and Mayor Dan Albert and a number of others who worked very hard to put together a coalition in support of this school and its importance to the defense mission. This isn't just important, obviously, for this community, but it is extremely important to the defense of this country. And we were successful in making clear how important the school was.
The Naval Postgraduate School counts among its alumni 33 astronauts, more than any other graduate school in the country.
The Naval Postgraduate School has consistently led the charge in developing robotic systems for both defense and peacetime applications. Here's Undersecretary of the Navy Robert Work speaking at the annual Robots in the Roses celebration at NPS.
But thank you all for being here today. It's just a wonderful, lovely afternoon as we celebrate the second annual Robots in the Roses Research Fair. This research fair gives us just a fascinating hint of the wide array of research that is currently going on in unmanned systems and the vitally important and exponentially growing realm of these systems, and just a small glimpse of what we might see in the future. The Robots in the Roses is sponsored, as Jeff said, by the Naval Postgraduate School. It's a consortium for robotics and unmanned systems education and research. You all know it as Cruiser. It was founded in February 2011 as an alum of the Naval Postgraduate School. I knew that this would be the logical place to have a program which really tried to bring together concept development, research, and experimentation to try to show the Navy and the Marine Corps team the way forward in unmanned systems. So it was tasked to shape generations of naval officers through education, research, concept generation, and experimentation in the maritime application of robotics, automation, and unmanned systems. So appropriately, then, Cruiser's vision is from technical to ethical, from concept generation to experimentation. That's exactly what we need to kind of tell us where we're headed. It provides a collaborative environment and community of interest. All of you here are part of that community for the advancement of unmanned systems education and research across the entire Navy Marine Corps team and the entire Department of Defense. Unmanned systems are often said they do the dull, dirty, and dangerous. They can just go out and suck up data. We're going to have means to manage this data and give us information that is of relevance to our warfighters. The Cruiser facilitates all these efforts by aligning our research, both internal and external to the Naval Postgraduate School, facilitating collaboration in venues like this, and especially among researchers and educators, and supporting innovation through directed programs of operational experimentation. So working in partnership with other organizations, Cruiser also coordinates the insertion of robotics and unmanned systems into joint experiments. We have to do more experimentation. We have to free up the time to do so. I worry about that we don't do it enough, but this is one way, and I think Cruiser is doing a great job. And the other thing that's very, very important to me is I know, coming from the Naval Postgraduate School, that the service's operational needs are always in the forefront of the Cruiser leaders and thinkers. So it's a very, very active partner and is going to be a very effective educator for our future military leaders and decision makers. In my view, NPS is the ideal organization, the best organization to align the Department of Navy's disparate unmanned systems research efforts. The fleet is running flat out. There's really not a lot of time to do thinking in the fleet on things outside of the day-to-day business of what we do for our nation. NPS, that's their job. They're in an academic environment that allows them the freedom to think about this. It's a leader, a respected leader among DoD labs and unmanned systems research and experimentation, and it is an established and extensive and deep contact throughout the global unmanned systems community of interest. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts. The Secretary of the Navy and I appreciate everything that you're doing for our nation, and I look forward to talking to you later this afternoon. Thank you very much.
The members of Team Monterey account for approximately $1.4 billion of federal expenditures in Monterey County.
The former Fort Ord has a long history in serving as a training grounds for our troops before they ship out for duty overseas. This rich heritage reaches back to the time of World War I and the cavalry days. Recently, Fort Ord was designated as the newest United States National Monument. Here's Secretary of the Interior Salazar sharing his thoughts at the unveiling ceremony.
Most of all, I want to thank all of you because at the end of the day, the work that we do on behalf of the nation's people, we do it because we hear from the people of the country. And through the President's initiative on America's Great Outdoors, our efforts to conserve the very special places of America are based on wanting to know what it is that the community wants. And so when I was here in January, we heard loud and clear from all of you that you wanted Fort Ord to be made into a national monument. You remember when I took that vote at the end of our meeting, it was 100%, and I let the President know that. So give yourselves a round of applause because you've made this day. It's also a special honor for me to be here on Armed Forces Day because it is a very special day as we celebrate our men and women in the military, and it's good to do it with the dedication of America's newest national monument. With his signature, President Obama has preserved this special place for all Americans and all of the visitors to America for all time. And the April 20th proclamation, though, was far more than one action of one president. It was a culmination of years of work by you here in Monterey to protect one of the last remaining expanses of coastal open space on the Central Coast. You came together to honor those who served their country here at Fort Ord, to tell the stories of the 1.5 million soldiers who trained here since World War I, and to invite the world to experience the hallowed ground and the adventures it has to offer. You in this community had a vision for what Fort Ord could be. With Fort Ord National Monument, you now have an economic engine for your community that will power tourism, recreation, and small business for decades to come. Today, we celebrate your accomplishments, but I want you to know that you are not alone in this celebration. Fort Ord exemplifies a type of conservation project that is most important to President Obama in the implementation of the America's Great Outdoors Initiative. In New York, in St. Louis, in the Everglades of Florida, in the Flint Hills of Kansas, in the Crown of the Continent in Montana, in the Dakota grasslands, from sea to shining sea, all across this great country, we're implementing initiatives like the one that we see today. And across the country, we're seeing a groundswell of new parks, open spaces, river restorations, trails, and other projects that are renewing communities and repowering local economies. The bottom line is simple: conservation equals tourism, jobs, and a better quality of life. Let me say that again. Conservation equals tourism, jobs, and a better quality of life. And that's a big reason why so many communities are with us here today. Marina, Seaside, Delray, Oaks, Monterey, Salinas, Sand City, Pacific Grove, Monterey County, and so many others. But you're also here because Fort Ord speaks to us as to who we are as Americans. By dedicating Fort Ord on Armed Service Day, we pay special tribute to the many generations of American heroes who trained and served here. And we are reminded that with service members in harm's way around the world, we must recommit ourselves to supporting them and supporting their families. That's one of the reasons that starting today, this May 17th, we are distributing annual passes that will grant free access to service members and their dependents to 2,000 recreational areas around the United States of America. It's an annual pass that will allow our active men and women in the military and their families to access Bureau of Land Management properties, National Park Service units like Yosemite and Yellowstone, Bureau of Reclamation recreational areas, National Forest Service areas, Army Corps of Engineers areas. These public lands are now available free of access as a measure of gratitude by the American people to the men and women who are actively serving in our military today. So today, let's celebrate America's newest national monument. Let's celebrate this economic engine from Monterey, and let's salute our men and women in uniform and all those who have given of themselves to serve our country.
Camp Roberts hosts the largest National Guard training on the West Coast.
Earlier on, we showed you several examples of robots designed and developed at the Naval Postgraduate School. Here's Dr. Tim Chung, one of the professors with a long history in the development of our most famous robots known as drones, speaking on the subject of unmanned flight technology.
What you're standing in here is the Unmanned Systems Lab, and it represents the Center for Autonomous Vehicle Research. And that's just one piece of the Unmanned Systems program that we have here. And that's just a slice of the advanced future concepts and technologies that we study here at the Naval Postgraduate School. So we can have all sorts of unmanned systems, whether they're flying, they're swimming, they're underwater, they're on the ground. Some actually can go in the surf zone, which means that they can go both on the sand, on the beachy areas, and in the water. So they're amphibious robots. Some that can actually go in multiple areas, so some that take off but then land on ground and can crawl around as well. So all of those things are incredibly novel and interesting ways to now explore unmanned systems and robotics. And oftentimes those ideas come from bright young minds, such as the ones that are in my lab. There are a number of projects called micro-aerial vehicles that are of interest right now. There are some that are as small as that can fit in the palm of your hand. And the idea behind these, of course, are be able to go and navigate in tight quarters and fly in different places just so they can hang out in those areas. There are other types of ideas where they can land on power lines and recharge themselves, or they can start buzzing together and work on like robo-bees and other types of projects like that. There are a number of things with great many applications to work with small robots just as much as the big robots that are out there as well. And I think there's a great interest in looking at nature and those natural systems to help inspire the types of robotic systems we're interested in looking. Nature has done something correct in terms of the types of animals that she's created, and we're trying to maybe learn from her a little bit about how to do that. And so yeah, there's no mistake that there are inspirations from nature, which we call bio-inspired robotics. So what we're looking at here are, this is what is called a pack bot.
Taken off?
It is often used by the Army and the Marine Corps for things like bomb disposal. They're called explosive ordnance disposal robots, EOD robots. And what we've done here is taken one of these pack bots. It's made by a manufacturer called iRobot. And this was a project to see if we can take advantage of some of the open technologies that are available to us, maybe at a hobby store or maybe an enthusiast level.
So if you take a peek in there, what you'll see
what
are
we can do with those types of
hobby parts
in an operational robot.
And what you're seeing is Matt's controlling that with a small device, a smartphone
replacing
device.
some of the components and
In fact,
using
with
this
his
again
iPhone,
as
right?
another educational vehicle. And so what we've done here with my interns is basically taken this robot, stripped out some of the innards, replaced it with components that we can then use mostly off the shelf at a hobby store, and now they're able to control it wirelessly, in fact, from a smartphone. And they've used this opportunity over the past several weeks here at NPS to go and do that and learn how to do all of that, mostly on their own, as a matter of fact. So, and this is one of those things where a high school student came in here last year as just didn't know what he was getting himself into, and in my opinion is a success story of how he had that hands-on experience here at NPS and then decided to pursue an engineering degree. So now he's going to Cal Poly for electrical engineering, and he came back this summer to reinvigorate that experience and actually was able to accomplish something that is operationally relevant. And this is at the high school level, which is pretty phenomenal. I think more and more, whether it's because they have easier access to computers or they're just eager like sponges to learn new things, I think robotics is one of those things that not only is a fun topic, but is also a very broad topic that offers the opportunity for them to really stimulate a lot of the different areas. And so I think, in fact, even younger than middle school, you could even start to interest these students. In fact, I've hosted a number of Boy Scout and Cub Scouts and Brownies and Brownie troops to do these types of robotic activities, and they might not necessarily know their multiplication tables yet, but they can understand how to get robots to drive across the room. It's really phenomenal and actually very rewarding to be a part of that. What is behind me is the future of robotics engineers and scientists, the next generation, if you would. We have a collection of interns and researchers here at the Naval Postgraduate School working in the Advanced Robotic Systems Engineering Laboratory, what we call Arsenal. And what you have here are a collection of the UAVs that are going to participate in the first ever Aerial BattleBots Grand Challenge competition. So there are two ways to launch these guys. One is to actually hand launch them, which you guys are already familiar with, and that's we're not going to be launching them this way in the field because for two reasons. One is trying to launch 50 of these like this is going to be challenging, and that's one of the research problems, is how to figure out how to automate something like that. And the other part of it is, from a safety point of view, we're just going to try to avoid getting the man out of the loop for a safety reason. But typically things like these types of UAVs are hand launched as that. Other UAVs that we have out here can be launched just using propellers taking off like a regular UAV. There are others that could be rocket launched, and others that we're not going to be putting any rockets on these ones particularly, but much to the chagrin of my interns here. So the main idea to think about this type of a UAV is that we have everything from battery power to motor power, but we're also going to be putting on there computers and sensors and radios. And what these allow us to do is for these UAVs to autonomously navigate and hopefully be able to identify other targets that are out there and close on them, meaning that they get within a certain distance to register a successful attack or a successful kill. And so eventually the idea would be to generate some sort of a laser tag type system so that they can actually identify a correct hit in the skies and be able to conduct aerial battle bots that way. At the very forefront of this is an educational opportunity, so no need to blow things up per se, despite maybe how the students want us to blow things up. But once we get to the capabilities of being able to zero in and do some aerial dogfighting, we can then take it over to the next level where you might have things that actually do get to blow up at that point. But for our purposes, we're mostly interested in the educational piece.
Fort Hunter Liggett contains over 165,000 acres of unencroached mountains, valleys, rivers, plains, and forests, providing ideal areas for land and air training.
The rodeo grounds in Salinas served as the base camp for Monterey County's most recent Veteran Stand Down. Team Monterey Television captured one of the event's founders explaining why the Veteran Stand Down is so important.
Hi, my name is Tom Griffin. I'm the county's Military Veterans Affairs Officer. I'm also chair of the Veteran Transition Center. We got together about a year ago and said we need to help homeless veterans in Monterey County. There are 900 to 1,300 of them. At this event, which started 3 days ago, we had 212 registered. We actually had 14 female homeless veterans here, and we put them all in a safe area, and they absolutely enjoyed it. They got great food, they got clothing issues. We gave everybody a brand new sleeping bag with a sleeping pad. They got boots, pants, trousers, underwear, you name it, and we took care of all of their needs while they were here. We gave them the supportive services. The thing was a resounding success, and I just want to say this was a total community effort, and they just enjoyed it, and they felt safe, and they really, really learned a lot from this, and they're going to benefit. I think many of them are going to go from here as a step up.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our program, and we look forward to coming to you in our next episode. Our executive producer is interested in what you think about Team Monterey Television, so please send your questions and comments to Steve Elzy at elzy@ampmedia.org. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. I'm Alan Richmond for Team Monterey Television.